Hi there and welcome to Your Wee Gems. We are here today to talk about the thing that is everywhere we look, artificial intelligence. No matter whether we're looking on social media, we're looking at magazines, newspapers, it's all over. And then there's the other part where people are now trying to sell you how to use it and how they're going to help you in all sorts of ways create things from AI. So we thought we would ask you what you thought about it. There was 4 things we asked. The first was, does it fascinate you? Does it worry you? Do you feel it's a threat and worry? Do you have mixed feelings over it? And the other one was, I don't care. So that was the 4 things we asked. I personally was surprised at some of the results. Through the week, the poll was going up and down, but there was 2 figures that stayed pretty much the same from the beginning. The first one that actually shocked me was no one is worried at all about the threat of AI, which I find fascinating. And I don't know whether that was the fact that we had the mixed feelings bunch. So we had a bunch of people who said, I've got mixed feelings, and part of that could be that there's a slight worry, because it doesn't just fascinate me, I actually have mixed feelings over that. So I think that could have fallen in there. The other part is that 8% of you didn't care, just did not care. Now, if that is from the fact that you're not allowing it in to disrupt you as a human being, I think that's a good thing, because whatever we get uptight about, we can draw that in. We're electrical magnetic beings, that comes in. So when it comes to not caring, the bit I worry about is that you're not observing. So I often talk about meerkats, that in business we really need to be meerkats. To be honest, in life, we need to be meerkats. So, you know, the meerkat's always looking around, observing, keeping everything noted. If, on the other hand, you're sticking your head in the sand and don't care because you're not even observing anything, that's a slight worry. So, unsure of what that 8% of people meant by don't care. However, there was 2 that held the lead. They moved up and down, but at the end of the day, they were absolutely 46% each, okay? One was, it fascinates me, the other, I've got mixed feelings. So very, very interesting that we have a combination and we have the just, I'm absolutely fascinated by it. So what I thought I'd do today is I'd talk about a few things: the morals and the ethics of AI, the legalities of AI, and bring in a few things that I've been reading of late, because I'm interested, but like a lot of people, I have mixed feelings over this, because yes, it's a fascination. It's been around for many, many years. It's come into the general public's viewing. So we are now at the stage where Joe Blogs is really starting to understand what AI can do for us. So I'm going to start with the moral and ethicals of this. This is LeadingME. This is what I teach a lot, which is when everything is left and it's only you to make that decision, then that's when I really need to be leading me. Because if I'm not leading me in the right way, I feel it, and particularly your gut brain feels it. Your gut brain cries out because you've done the wrong moral or ethical thing, and that makes me feel sick, okay? So there is the morals and the ethics of this that can affect our own body, let alone the morals and the ethics of this that we want to see going forward. So I'm going to talk about an AI researcher called Gary Marcus. And he's done a TED Talk, and that TED Talk was the urgent risk of runaway AI and what it means and what we need to do in the future for it. So if you want to see that, it's on TED. So just anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about, TED Talks are freely available. pop it into Google, you'll soon find it. But to be honest, Google is another AI facility that we have been using forever, or it seems like forever. So for a long time, we've been using artificial intelligence. It's just jumped up that bit more. So Gary Marcus, what he says, now I'm going to read this because it's really important I get his words right, and these are Gary's. He says, and this is a guy that's been in AI research for a long time, that truth and reason will not survive the evolution of artificial intelligence. Not if untrustworthy technology continues to be integrated into our lives at such dangerously high speeds. He's calling for a global not-for-profit organisation to regulate the tech for the sake of democracy and collective future. Now, when I listened to his TED Talk, that was part of the mixed feelings I had. So on one hand, it is fascinating and it's extremely amazing what it can do for us, and the fact it's been doing lots of this for a long time. And those of us who have been using automation, that is another way that we've been using this for a long time. However, when it starts to get in the realms of the ethics of, for example, and he mentions it, the dark web, and how this technology has been used to change election results and various other things, that's when we do have an issue, and that's where my mixed feelings come in. Because I do have a slight worry over this. Not that it keeps me up at night, not that I constantly bring that in, because I know what that can do for me if I do. But the worry is there is a threat out there. And it's at the moment, it's how people scam others all the time. So the threat's there, it's real. We've been at the brunt end of it for quite a long time. So the thing we have to meerkat this is making sure we understand there is threats and we protect ourselves in the best way we possibly can for that. So that was fascinating to hear Gary talk about what it's doing at this moment in time. And if we don't actually do something about a regulation, but what I did like was the fact that he was looking for a not-for-profit organisation who would help us make this into a democratic, collective future of using AI in a very constructive way, because there are lots of constructive ways we can. I personally have used AI in multiple ways, and you will have too. Mention Google. I've got automation within my business. I used ChatGPT for research, sort of looking things up, giving me ideas. I think for me personally, it's been a good idea generator. But I've read articles on people writing books with it. We know of a journalist I read an article on a magazine in Germany. The journalist had used some AI to ask questions of Michael Schumacher. The answers were automatically generated, but it wasn't clear in the article that was the case. And that's the ethics and morals, for example, that I'll use this and pass it off as my work. And what then happened when it came to light, that magazine sacked the editor, and they are now being sued by the Schumacher family, quite rightly so, that this was his words when it actually wasn't. It was an interview with a bot, basically, that was giving them the answers to the questions they were asking. This is the ethical and moral stand that is really, that's a leading me. Is this something? And I'm going to come on to something else. When people pass their work off as other people's work, that again, there's a slim line. There is nothing out there that is not known already. We just regurgitate it in our own special way. Okay, so as a speaker, as a writer, as someone who communicates tools that I have come across and tools that I have and that I have created, these tools are from the giants that I am standing on their shoulders, because most people I have learned things from, my mentors, my trainers, my clients, people who I have observed and learned from, they're all part of me. The difference is that I've taken whatever the things that they've done and molded it into my experience of what that is, which then I've created tools. That's my personal IP. However, there are people out there who have heard something, love it, take it, and then pass it off as their own. So this takes me on to the legalities of it. The passing it off as your own, then you are infringing on copyright. Then you are infringing on IP, someone's intellectual property. So the thing I'd say to you is, when you do that, it's a moral, ethical decision you make. It's not a LeadingME one, it's an ego one. So ego takes you to, well, I'll do it and I'll put it this way because I know better and I'll put it my way and that's it. But they're really not putting it their way. They're not taking it, pulling it apart and making it completely different. They're doing it exactly the same as they heard, but they're making it out to be it's me. That's bigging it. But of course, the other side of that is the belittling that they do. And because if you imagine the LeadingME part being in the middle, if I go to one side and I'm bigging it, I then have to go to the other side and belittle, because that, ethically and morally, whether we make that decision, will eat us up inside and eventually it comes out in some way. So the LeadingME way is that if I am referring to something or a quote, I will refer to the person, because that's where I got the quote. If I don't know where it is, I usually say, I'm not really sure where this comes from, okay? But I love using quotes, so I'm not going to stop using them just because I don't know the originality. However, there is times when I've looked for the originality and can't find it, and that's why I've ended up saying, I'm not sure who done this quote, but this is something that I've heard and it's wonderful. So that's the legality, but also the moral and ethical part that I, as a speaker and as someone who's out there, I know that there is work that I do that has come from other people, but the way I've interpreted that is through my experience, and it comes out as something completely different. But that's not ripping something off. The legalities of what we're now facing with AI is, and again, I'm going to read this part, because this comes from the legalities, particularly in Australia, but I do believe that this actually covers worldwide what happens. So, works are afforded copyright protection in Australia if the author is the human who has contributed independent intellectual effort. And that'll be the legality of it, the independent intellectual effort. So the next part of this is AI tools do not currently have legal status and cannot own copyright. Okay, I'm going to read that once more. Here it goes. AI tools do not currently have legal status and cannot own copyright. Legal risks include intellectual property infringements. And there lies the legal issues we have right at this moment in time with any of the AIs that are out there. You have to be able to prove that actually there's independent intellectual effort, and that's sort of up there at the moment. There's lots of things that you go looking legal wise, there is a lot out there. There is also a lot that is not taken into consideration. I can see new laws being constructed here. I can see why Gary talks about we need to have some sort of regulation over this. I think the risks, if you're a creative out there, so if you're a company with creative people in it who are doing things for the company, you really have to consider the legality of what people are out there stealing. Because at the moment, I see it all the time. I see it on YouTube where someone has a high volume of traffic, going to their YouTube site, and this happens in everything, Insta, you name it. Lots of people are going there to get the information from that person. But that information is also stolen and put into another channel. And somebody at the moment is passing that off as the person when it's not. And in some cases, the social media realm haven't been doing enough about this, because they'll jump on things that, to be honest, are I want your ad money, but they won't jump on things that are things like you have to prove that it's not you. So that takes me to a new thing that I came across called Zidget. That's Z-I-J-I-T, Zidget. It's an app. So for those who are creative and do podcasting, anything with their voice, videos, anything that you put out audio, Zidget you need to get hold of, because it's an app and it's a bit like Shazam, but it's for creatives. So if you create video, if you create audio, let's say a podcast, you can actually put that in it. It's a digital imprint that goes on, that is your voice doing the same thing, and no one can take that voice away from you. So if you're having to go legal on this at any point in time down the line, you have everything in Zidget. So it is an app. You can also have it at zidget.com. You can also have that on your computer. You can upload the things very simply and easily. It takes the digital imprint. It's how to discover the people who made the content. That's the best way. And all you do is Shazam it, right? So you Zidget it by holding it up against that voice, that track, that soundtrack that you've taken and you've got on yours, and it will tell where that's come from. It's actually protection and recognition for human-made audio and video. And you can also have your creators in there tagging themselves on things like, they may have produced the video. So like, I make these videos, they're my content, so copywriting is mine, the voice is mine, but I actually have a team who then produce the video because they work on it. They can tag themselves in on this. So you can see, and if you're like, who's done that? You listen to it, you can see it, and you can see someone's passing themselves off as someone else. So one, as a consumer of this, you can check it's actually the real person, which is wonderful. Two, as a creative, you can actually go ahead and go, this is me and this is what I do. So, and you really do have to have websites and stuff. So you can see that these people exist. They are humans doing the work. So I thought I'd throw that in for anyone who needs it. I think Zidget is going to become a massive thing. At the moment, it's free. I can see that not being at some point in time. So jump on board. You can download it from any of the Apple Store or Google Store. Guys, I'm not being paid to do this, right? I've seen this and thought this. I seen it a while ago, but I didn't have a great need for it back then. With what's coming right now, with what is happening in this AI age, I see I'm going to have a need for that. So it's my digital storage, if you like, that I can go, oh, hang on a second, that's mine, and here I can prove it, okay? So I thought I'd throw that in. We've covered the moral and ethical dilemma that we have at the moment, the legal dilemma that is massive that nobody's been thinking about, and I'm sure there's lots of things going out there at this point in time, because remember, all these AI programs are just collecting everybody else's data. So that's infringement. So be very careful. I personally love it for researching things and giving me ideas. Idea generation, great. Researching ideas around it, I think, is wonderful. It makes my head start to move, and then I can collect my own things. The same way as I've been doing from many wonderful mentors out there all my life, where they give me something to chew on, I go away and I think about it and I develop my own things. When I use their things, I mention it. That's not happening at the moment, and we need to be looking at how we regulate that. So that is AI in a nutshell at the moment. By all means, put comments down. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you feel about what's going on at the moment. That was a small poll. I'd love to hear what you've got to say. Reach out to me. You can get me on magsbell.com. You can get me on creatingpowerfulresults.com. You'll see me all around social medias. I've got the YouTube channel. I've got the podcast. The YouTube and podcast are called LeadingME Wee Gems. So go and find, and if there's anything that you want me at any point in time to bring up and talk about, again, just ask. Love to help. So, as I say every single time, stay true, stay you, and keep bringing out your brilliance. Bye for now.